Future. It's got to be about tomorrow and planning for the next day, and then ultimately bringing all that into focus as we attack the season.
Welcome to the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, and Brian Sexton have all the news and information to get you ready for today's game. The Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by Baptist Health, Farah and Farah, and by TIAA Bank. The Publix Tailgate Show starts right now.
Good morning. Now, the Jaguars know they need to start a winning streak if they're going to play meaningful football games in December this season. The challenge today is to stack a win on top of last week's win over the Raiders, because today the Jaguars are at Arrowhead Stadium to take on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, the best team in the AFC as of this moment. The Jaguars know how good Kansas City is, but they also know if they're ever going to get where they want to go, they're going to have to go through the Chiefs. Today, they get to test themselves against the best and see where they stand. Good morning and welcome to the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian Sexton along with Mike Dempsey from a reasonably warm TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. It is 20 degrees right now in Kansas City. And while that is below freezing, it's not like they're on the frozen tundra. It's going to be a challenge today from a couple of different perspectives. The weather, the crowd, noise, obviously, and the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's one of the best home atmospheres in the National Football League, and it's a really good football team, and that makes it even tougher. Went back and did some research, and every time they play the Chiefs, we do this. When the Chiefs were bad, they did not sell out Arrowhead, right? So it's not like this is just the greatest atmosphere regardless of what's happening on the field.
I can tell you about a season finale having grown up in Kansas City against the New York Jets in the mid-'80s, where in that cavernous stadium, there were 16,000 people.
Yeah.
And I can remember when they first turned the thing over with Carl Peterson and Marty Schottenheimer in the late 80s. It took a couple of years to become what it has become. But they got it rolling, and when it's rolling, it's as difficult as it gets.
Oh, there's no question about that. And they have Patrick Mahomes, who we hope will have our own franchise quarterback to grow around here in Jacksonville. But he's clearly proven to be that. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won a league MVP. He may win another one this year, one of each for that matter. I mean, the Chiefs are playing pretty well right now and had a comeback victory against the Titans, which helped us last week, Brian. But it's just nice to be here talking to you after the Jaguars have won a football game.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
It has been a while. I've almost forgotten what a week is like after a win when everyone has a smile on their face. It makes getting things started on Sunday morning a whole lot better. We hope you have that smile on your face. I know there's some Kansas City, some Jaguars fans in Kansas City today who are tailgating right now and listening to our broadcast, the Parkalos from Ponte Vedra. They're not smiling as much. Their teeth are chattering. So get inside that tent and enjoy the next 3 hours as we get set for kickoff here on Jaguars Radio. Let's start with the big stories. And obviously, the head coach knows that today's game is a great chance to get a good look at his team.
Yeah, it's one of those benchmark games. You're going against a team that's been one of the top, in the AFC, and obviously won a Super Bowl here recently. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge to go on the road. It's a great place to play. It's loud. The weather's going to be a little cold, 40 degrees-ish. It's going to be a different environment for us. But we don't make any excuses. We just go play and try to gauge where we are, against a football team that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fine for us to sit here and go, oh, what a measuring stick game this is. I think for the Jaguars, they have to treat this as the next opponent up, and we know how good they are, and everyone knows, but they're not unbeatable. The Colts beat them this year, and that's not a great Colts team. So, look, if you want to be considered for real in the National Football League, you can't get all excited like, oh, we're this huge underdog and we've got to go pull the upset. You got to believe that you're good enough to go in there and win. I do think they're good enough to do it. That doesn't guarantee that they're going to win, but I think they've got a relatively decent chance today.
The Chiefs played a poor game in Indianapolis that Sunday. I watched, talked to some people in Kansas City about it. It was almost as if they didn't think the Colts were going to pose that much of a challenge. They didn't play sharp football. They turned the ball over. They missed some scoring opportunities. The Colts took advantage. The Jaguars are going to have to take advantage as well. And Trevor Lawrence said this week he understands that they've got to be their best if they're going to take Kansas City.
They're never out of it. So this is a team where you understand who you're playing, you understand who's on the other side of the ball, and I got all the faith in the world in our defense, but you do understand like the explosiveness of their offense and just kind of, we gotta play a great game, and it's that way every week, but especially this week.
Yeah, you got to be physical with this team, and the Titans showed you that formula last week and really had them on the ropes. And give credit to Kansas City; they stuck with what worked. They didn't even try to run the football against Tennessee. Had Patrick Mahomes throw it 68 times. They're very comfortable putting the game in his hands on every single snap, Brian. And, with the talent that he has and the speed that he has, even with Mecole Hardman not playing today, they're a threat to score from anywhere on the field every snap.
And I've said it a couple of times this week. I was at the AFC title game last January, and I watched as the Bengals just sort of frustrated him. They buzzed around him and created enough confusion that he never got comfortable. Now, you get two Patrick Mahomes. There's that Patrick Mahomes, the gunslinger, who's rolling out, and he's got nothing but ice in his veins and slings the ball sideways and not looking in an opposite direction. We've all seen that from him. But we've also seen in the Colts game earlier this year, in the Titans game at times last week, and in that AFC Championship game, a quarterback who wasn't comfortable and didn't make the kinds of throws that have made everyone else look silly. Josh Allen knows that when you're talking about Pat Mahomes, you've got to get back to basics.
We got to play football. Got to get back to backstreet football because that's the game they like to play. He does a good job on making plays out of the pocket. You might get a good rush, but you get him out of pocket and you think, okay, yeah, out of pocket, we want it. But he does a good job on keeping plays alive and backstreet football. So I think for us, this is a child's game, man. I think if we have that mentality to just go out there, have fun, rush the passer, relentless, and just play.
Well, look, get to the passer would be great. They've been rushing the passer every week, right? Dwan Smoot's been showing up of late. You're going to need more of that today. And sure, if you can frustrate Patrick Mahomes and buzz guys by him, but I'd rather see him on the ground, especially on some key third downs. Jaguars' pass rush has not been great this year. And at times they've gotten a lot of pressure, but haven't gotten the end result. We talked about it, Brian. Mahomes can deal with that pressure. He can turn that play, that broken play, into something beautiful. And he showed you last week he can kill you with his feet as well when the play breaks down.
Which is why the Jaguars today, Mike, their objective is to keep him in the pocket. It's that get outside the pocket where you don't know and there's nothing that he can't do with the football, it seems. If you can keep him in the pocket, which is what the Bengals did last January, you make him uncomfortable because he's much, much better if he's moving his feet.
Oh, yeah, you can, right, but he can still beat you from the pocket.
Oh, yeah, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Right, exactly. So that's the preferable place to keep him, but I'd like to see him on the ground in the pocket a few times.
We'll see if they can do it. They struggled last week against Carr and the Raiders. That brings us to a guy who is equally dangerous. In fact, he is the best weapon in Kansas City's arsenal. Tight end Travis Kelce, you probably saw him on Sunday Night Football a couple of weeks ago, hauling in 4 touchdown passes. He's the go-to guy. And today, the Jaguars are going to have a number of people, safeties and linebackers, who are trying to account for him. And we talked this week in the locker room with rookie linebacker Devin Lloyd. And right now, everything passing in front of his face is giving him something new to look at. He's a rookie, but he's been looking at tape this week and has identified that spot with Kelce that you have to be aware of.
His feet are really good, and so he knows how to get open. He understands certain angles or where he has to be. He obviously understands the coverage every time he's on the field, so he knows the holes in the defense, and I'm sure he's studying our weaknesses as well. So, stuff that we're not good at, I'm pretty sure he's going to try to expose. So really just putting it all together.
Look, 17 targets out of those 68 throws went to Kelce, so 25%. Now, today, no Mecole Hardman, who had 9 targets last week. Jerick McKinnon's questionable. He had 8 out of the backfields. That's another 17. Don't think they won't throw it to Kelce 20 times.
Oh, yeah, 100%
they will. They'll target him as much as possible. And everybody knows it's coming, Brian. That's the impressive thing. They haven't been able to stop it.
And Juju Smith-Schuster is a guy who has stepped up in the last 3 or 4 weeks for them since signing with Pittsburgh. And he had 9 targets last week as well. Of course, when you have 68 pass attempts.
All right, but back-to-back 100-yard games for Juju after what was a pretty slow start. He's definitely capable of making plays.
Now, the best defense against Kansas City is an offense that can move the ball, and not just move the ball, which is something the Jaguars have been doing this year, but take advantage when they get into the red zone. You've got to find a way to avoid the turnovers and penalties that have plagued this team, especially in the last 6 weeks. Now, they've got one thing that they're really leaning on heavy, and that's the offensive line, which has played pretty well this season, and the quarterback and the coach are both very fond of what they're getting from this group right now.
I think we're one of the tops in the league, and as far as, passer rating, as far as getting hits on quarterbacks, where, we keep our quarterback pretty clean. They've created some great holes in the run game, and it's really good to see Luke settling in, and he has great communication with those guys. Tyler Shatley, the way he's come in and played and played consistent, and You got the veteran, obviously, in Brandon, and the 2 tackles, I think, are playing consistent and really good. So, obviously, they work hard during the week. Phil has them well prepared each week, and, we just got to have another good performance.
Yeah, Phil Rauscher may be the leading candidate for Jaguars Assistant Coach of the Year with
100%.
the improvement that offensive line has made. We were talking this week, kind of at the halfway point, offensive, defensive MVPs, things like that. I mean, collectively, the offensive line is a strong candidate, if you're going to take them all 5 together.
And they're playing without Ben Bartch, who most people, he's the left guard. So most people don't identify him as playing well or not playing well unless he's giving up sacks every game. He was really playing well. It was a loss when he left the lineup, but Tyler Shatley has stepped up and been solid, really solid. So he gets a special plus.
Yeah, I think you felt like you could afford maybe one injury, particularly in the interior with Shatley's presence there, and maybe, a short-term injury, a tackle with Walker Little with that depth, but I don't want to test it any more than it's been. Luke Fortner's a guy who, is a meme going around on social media this weekend about how he hasn't given up a sack this year, in all these different pass rush snaps. So, different mix of guys, veterans and young players, they've all come in and work well together.
Yeah, he's an exciting young guy, and as he gets more and more time on task and more time in the weight room in the offseason, the quarterback center thing is so important, and there's a chance for these 2 guys to grow together. All right, it's not sub-zero, but it's sub-freezing temperatures in Kansas City, and I'm sure they would like to have this next guy doing this live for them in the parking lot. All those Jaguars fans who are out in the parking lot at Arrowhead Stadium who are just a little chilly, well, hold on, turn it up, because it's time for your favorite segment and mine, presented by E.T., the sub-freezing version of Come On Somebody.
There hasn't been too many times I got to do this after a dub, so I want to make sure I get this right. Come on, somebody! Oh, you better believe it's lit. Yes, sir! Them Jaguars showed out, didn't they? We're fresh off of a 27-20 come-from-behind victory over the Raiders. Whoa! And I couldn't be more ecstatic. Now, I ain't gonna sit here and cap. I was in my feelings when we were down 17-0, and Devontae was cooking when he was getting his Chef Boyardee on. I may have said some not-so-nice things, probably used some explicit language. But what can I say? I'm a Cancer, an emotional being. We get in our feelings. And I do, especially about my Jaguars. But guess what? Them boys, them boys turned up. When Trevor did that little okie-doke thing in the end zone, excuse me, the way ETN was toting that pill, watch out a little bit, ooh, stiff arm. All that changed my whole vibe. And them Raiders, yeah, they ain't have a chance. But I may need to simmer down just a tad bit, because we headed to Arrowhead this week and probably facing the best team in the league in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But that's enough talking. I'm going to let y'all do what y'all do. Y'all know how the game go. Come on, somebody.
It's not about the Raiders anymore. It's about baby Brady that will be Pat Mahomes, and we're going to take him down for the count. One, two, three, like a wrestling term.
Ding, ding, ding.
And we're going to get that dub. Ooh, yeah.
Snap it to a Slim Jim. Ooh, yeah.
E.T. is JK3, man.
JK What are some keys to victory, my boy?
Keys to the victory this week. Let's go ahead and limit the big plays. Big time for our defense to show up, and we smoking ribs.
Oh, if you smoking ribs on the Traeger, I'm pulling up on you. Duval! No, but for real, I'm serious about pulling up on you if you throwing ribs on the Traeger. Come on, somebody.
E.T., this is Gary.
What you got for me, Gary?
I think we need to spy on Mahomes. Make sure we have someone on Mahomes. Our offense will take care of it.
So that's all we got to do, Gary? Just spy on Mahomes?
I think we'll win the game. We keep Mahomes on his back feet. Thanks. Have a good one, man.
I think we may have to do just a little bit more than that, but that's a good start. You have a good one too, Gary. Come on, somebody.
Trevor Walker.
Wait. Who?
Trevor Walker.
What about him?
Come out game.
Oh, yeah? What are you going to do?
3 sacks. Book it.
I mean, I'd love to book it, but I'm not seeing him on my roster, bro.
E.T. Hoove, baby, here.
Old Faithful, talk to me, Hoove, baby.
Jags, eat some of that good Kansas City barbecue and bring a win to Duval. Come on, somebody.
This is your boy Van Keezy. I had to get back on here once again.
Welcome back.
So we stacking these wins.
Okay.
We stacking these wins. We're going to get in there and box back to Mahomes. Triple over, get there and box with him. Touchdown. E.T. ain't going to take off. He going to take off. He going to run it. Touchdown. Take off. 100-yard game. 100-yard game this week. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be close.
But what we going to do?
But we going to pull it out. Like Duval do, baby. Duval! Come on, somebody!
Great big log on the fire. Everybody better be warm and ready for Kansas City today.
I'm fired up to see what Trayvon Lawrence can do today as well. And see, in addition to Trevor Walker.
I love it.
Pairing him up
Throw in
today.
Travis there, right? Well, we got it. Trayvon, Travis.
A whole lot of them.
All
I don't care.
first-round
As long as
picks.
they're wearing teal, get in the end zone today. We'll be happy.
All right. Up next on the Publix Tailgate Show.
I love the noise, and I think it for me, I dial in even more.
The energetic tones of Marvin Jones, this week's Baptist Health Player Interview, plus CBS Sports writer Pete Prisco, the senior writer, no doubt, with thoughts on the Jaguars and Chiefs, which is less than 3 hours away. You're listening to the eventful Publix Tailgate Show here on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. SMART. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash. Made fresh. Daly's.
Rolling along through hour number 1 here on the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian Sexton and Mike Dempsey, Jaguars and Chiefs from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, coming up just after 1 o'clock. Time now to visit with senior sports writer Pete Prisco of CBSSports.com. One of my favorite segments of the week. What was his mindset about this football team today?
Well, like everybody, it was just nice to have a little relief, a little valve pressure released with the victory, first time in a month and a half. So just wanted to get Pete's thoughts on whether or not the way it came in that comeback fashion, if that's something he thinks can jumpstart this team.
Well, Mike, we talked last week, and one of the things we said was, and I said it a bunch over the course of the last couple of weeks, is they got to learn how to win. And that's the kind of game that teaches you how to win. You fall down behind 17 points and then rally back to win the game. But more importantly, you held the lead. That's what they hadn't been doing. So I think that's a big-time win for a young team, one they can build on going forward, because now they know how to win.
All right, Pete, let's kind of consider this the halfway point of the season. There's no exact halfway point unless you're talking about halftime of last week. But the 9 in, 8 to play in the regular season. Give me your most valuable Jaguar on the offensive side and the defensive side to this point.
Well, I think Travis Etienne's the most important guy right now on the offensive side. Trevor Lawrence had the moments where he didn't play very well. He did last week, but I think I have to go with Etienne. I think he's been phenomenal. He's proved to people he can run between the tackles and elevated himself into a top 10 running back. So I'd go with Etienne on that side of the ball. On the other side of the ball, I'd probably go with Campbell. I think he's been their best player consistently week in and week out. He's a really good cover player. I'm disappointed in the pass rushers, so I'd probably lean to Campbell in that situation.
All right, I agree with you on the Campbell side of things, but Dwan Smoot got some love. We talked about this throughout the course of the week with the Jaguar fan base out there. Pete, do they need to find more reps for Dwan Smoot? He's playing very well.
Yeah, Mike, but where do you play him? I mean, he should be in every nickel snap on the inside. I think he's a really good inside rusher, but when maybe they need to rotate him a little bit more on the outside. I think that's something. But you're also trying to figure out what you have in Trayvon Walker and get him more reps. He's got to learn how to rush the passer, and you don't really want to take Josh Allen off the field that much. But yes, he should be on the field more. Maybe give him 5, 6, 7, 8 more snaps and figure out a way to get him in.
Back to ETN here for a moment. This is a team that was almost allergic to running the ball early on and now have given Travis Etienne 51 carries total in back-to-back weeks. Obviously, he's not going to keep up that pace. That would be an NFL record over 430 carries. But do they need to be a little bit careful about the workload in any given week, or do you just think he's a young guy and he can handle it?
Well, you got to be careful with those carries. I mean, this is a brutal league and it's a violent league, and carries, each and every one of them, they wear on you, and they take a toll. And so you got to be careful with them. I think he can handle it for the time being, but you got to look over the course of this season and over the course of his career. And I think you got to be careful with how many carries he gets. I think he's done a great job with them. But again, I think you got to just cut him down just a little bit. You don't want to get him that many touches.
All right, bye week coming up. Maybe they still give him a heavy workload today against Kansas City. You'd like to play a little bit of keep away. It's not going to be possible all day long, Pete. When you look at this Chiefs team, I mean, they're not as good, in my opinion, as they were with Tyreek Hill, because they don't have quite the same explosive offense, but they're plenty explosive. How good is this Chiefs team that you see so far in 2022?
Yeah, I think when you look at them, you mentioned it. They're not as explosive. So you saw the Titans last week. Make them be patient, and he threw for 440 something yards, and they still were patient, and that's what you want. If they run the ball, that's to your advantage, and if they're not taking chunk plays down the field, that's to your advantage. So I would imagine Jacksonville would play a lot of off coverage and dare them to run the football, and if they can run the ball, and anytime you play Patrick Mahomes, if the Chiefs are running the ball, that's a win for you. So. They aren't as explosive. And defensively, one thing, block Chris Jones. That's the most important thing. If you block Chris Jones, you're going to have success because they're young outside in the secondary, and I think there's opportunity there.
How you feeling about it, Pete? I know you've been pretty aggressive picking the Jags to win this year. Can they get the job done in Kansas City today?
No, I don't think they'll win. I think they'll hang around. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think they're physical enough, and the Chiefs don't like that they won't like the matchup. But I think in the end, I think they'll find a way to win the game. So I'll go with Kansas City. But it's going to be close. It's going to be fun, and I think it's going to be a pretty good day for Jacksonville to show that they're one of those teams on the move.
And I think that's been a common refrain this week, Brian, that this team is going to put up a good fight. Kansas City's not going to blow them out. That's probably a product of the fact that the Jags haven't been blown out in a game this year, and people feel like they're going to be competitive. But most people that I've talked to picking them to lose in a close one. But, hey, none of that matters once they kick that thing off at 1 o'clock.
No, it doesn't. And the fact that the Titans, with a rookie quarterback who threw the ball 15 times, I think he completed 5 of them last week, were able to push that all the way to the end tells you that if you go play good football, if you play solid football, which is what the Titans did, you can put yourself in a chance.
Right. Make them go on those long, time-consuming multi-play drives. That when you throw it 68 times, you can tell that's the way the Titans forced them to play.
Doug Peterson said earlier this week that his mentor, Andy Reid, likes to score in 3 plays. If you make them take 12, you're going to frustrate them. When you frustrate them, mistakes happen, and the Jaguars are counting on that today. Now, the Chiefs are counting on the noise, but the Jaguars hope to go in there and not let that impact them too much. Marvin Jones has been there, done that. He knows what it's like to play in loud stadiums in big games, and he's excited, not intimidated by the task in front of him today.
Well, I like the noise, so it's like the same. It's the same, but I think it even makes me more hype. You know, when it's all that noise and stuff like that. Like, you know, playing in like a Seattle or Steelers back in the day when I was playing them, Green Bay, Minnesota stuff. Like I love the noise, you know, and I think it for me, I dial in even more once the noise happens. But obviously it's a hostile environment. You have that sea of red and they're doing the chants and stuff like that. I can't speak for everybody else, but I love it, you know.
Is that something that's just innate to you, or do you think that NFL football players, as competitive as you are, you're competing against the crowd and you kind of enjoy that?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think it's both. Like I've always liked playing in venues where it had a lot of crowd noise, like Autzen Stadium. I used to love going there and playing just because I knew it was going to be a great challenge for us, and we had to beat them and the fans, you know. And it's nothing better than silencing the crowd, you know. So you have those little challenges within the game or outside the realm of the field, you know. So I like it, and it's definitely going to be a challenge for us, you know. And it's definitely their aid, you know. They have a good streak at home, you know, but it's that's why we're here. That's why we play football, you know.
With all due respect to every other group you've ever played with, this receivers room has a very interesting dynamic. You have big personalities. You have a lot of confidence. What are your thoughts on you and Christian and Zay as a trio in the room in general?
Well, I love it. You know, you hit it right on the head. You know, we have different personalities, and each of us add different attributes, you know, to the game. You know, so it's fun to be a part of. And I know once we signed them, I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun, you know, just because the difference between all of us, you know, and all playing together. So it's been fun. You know, I love those guys, and we just got to keep it rolling.
The quarterback never fails to talk about what you mean to him on a football side and on a personal side as well. Can you give us a sense of what you've seen from him, especially the last couple of weeks where he has a tough game in London, and then he comes back and maybe has his best game as a pro?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that sticks out, obviously, is the maturation. You know, he came in to this league very, very mature. Way past his years, and that was something that was great. You know, a great quality about him, and you just see the maturation. And I think when he's faced with those down times and stuff that doesn't go right, him as a person, he's just going to be him. He's going to be that same guy. You know, he's not going to be high, he's not going to be low. So that's the thing. It's like you couldn't tell if it was last week or the week before that, because he's a pro's pro, and to be that young and to have the ability that he has and take on what he takes on, and how he carries himself in the midst of all that is amazing.
Did you see any of his mic'd up from last week? Because there was a side of him that fans had never seen, this chirpy, trash-talking side, and it got a lot of traction. I think people like it.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if he's mic'd up every week, they'll see something like that, you know. He's a competitor, you know, and I don't know why it's funny because I don't know why people don't think that he's like that, you know, especially when he's running the ball and he runs the ball and he runs the ball well and he gets hits and pretty good shots and stuff like that, and he'll get up and he'll let them know. He was like, hey, that was cool, but let's do it again, you know. So so it's always good.
Final thought. It's week to week. The league is. But what's possible for this team with 8 games left to play? You've been around. You've seen it. You're one of the veterans. What do you think this team is capable of?
I think the sky's the limit, you know. And I think, you know, we've showed it in every game, you know. And every game hasn't been what we wanted to in terms of the outcome, but we've shown what we can do, you know. But when we do what we do on a consistent basis, it's like the sky's the limit for us, you know. So it's still a long season. We have 8 games left. You know, I've been a part of an 8-0 team, 9-0 team that lost out, and I've been a part of a 1-whatever team that's you know almost got the second seed. So you know I've seen it all, and it's definitely not over. And I think we all know that, and nobody's batting an eye, and we're ready to make a push.
Well, you just know if the Jaguars are going to find a way to keep it close and maybe eke out a win today, Marvin Jones is going to have 3 or 4 catches at 3rd and 8 where he pulls the ball in and keeps drives alive. That's his presence on this football team. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, first rounds on us from the booth at Arrowhead Stadium. We'll be joined by Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman. But coming up, Mike McCoy.
You know, he wants to learn. He wants to be coached hard. He wants to be told, you know, during practice, during the meetings, all the little things to help him be a great player.
Mike McCoy joins us coming up next here on the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Tired of hearing "fine" to every question you ask your child? Conversations with a child or teen in your life may sometimes feel one-sided, but they help build the foundation for lifelong mental wellness. Getting started can be difficult, but you don't have to do it alone. Wolfson Children's On Our Sleeves program provides just what you need to spark conversations that have lasting benefits. For free tools and expert advice delivered to your inbox each month, visit wolfsonchildrens.com/onoursleeves.
When you show your home love with a natural gas water heater, it loves you right back with more cost-efficient, endless hot water.
Hon, hurry it up, please.
And right now, you'll love earning a cash rebate up to $700 when you install an energy-efficient natural gas water heater.
We're going to be late. Again.
What? Did you say something, hon?
To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softee. For a refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softee. The milkshakes and the sundaes and the cones are such a treat. Look out for the ice cream stand, enjoy it from your seat. The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softee. For a refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softee. S-O-F-T-E-E, Mr. Softee.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Hi Jags fans, Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by VyStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. Brian Sexton, Mike Dempsey with you here in hour number 1 of the Publix Tailgate Show. The Jaguars and Chiefs coming up from Arrowhead just after 1 o'clock. Time now for our weekly commentary from Rick Ballou.
Always looked at Missouri as a college basketball town. You have Mizzou, across the border, obviously Kansas. St. Louis couldn't keep an NFL team. They lost a franchise twice. And then there's the Chiefs. I've been lucky enough to be on every single NFL sideline, and nothing compares to Arrowhead. Lambeau Field? Nope. 12th man in Seattle? Bills Mafia? Please. Arrowhead is the one place in the NFL that has a college-like atmosphere. You could drop it in the middle of the SEC, and you wouldn't know the difference. I am surprised they stole Florida State's war chant. Frankly, they don't need it there in Kansas City. On the field, man, they're a beast. No doubt about it. They've won 5 in a row. Typically, you want to make a team one-dimensional. That's not the case, though, with Kansas City. Look at last week. Patrick Mahomes threw the football 68 times. Their backs, they ran it only 13 times for 14 yards. This is a tough game for Jacksonville. It's the most brutal one on the schedule, in my opinion. How do you beat the Chiefs? Couple of reasons. Number one, you've got to make huge plays. You've got to force turnovers. Last week, Andre Sisco dropped what should have been a pick six. Today, you have to make that play. You have to return that for a TD. Trying the trade with Patrick Mahomes is a mistake. That'll backfire. The Jags can't win that way. You got to shorten this football game. You run the ball, you slow it down, you keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. That is the only chance Jacksonville has to pull off this upset. The Jags are 4th in the NFL when it comes to rushing the football, which, by the way, is very unusual for a team that's 3-6.
All right. Well, a young quarterback can be described as a riddle wrapped in an enigma. Difficult to figure out. And lately, we have seen that with Trevor Lawrence. Perhaps his worst day in London a couple of weeks ago against the Broncos with those 2 interceptions, followed by perhaps his best day just last week against the Raiders. The quarterback coach has seen it all in all of his years, nearly 30 in the National Football League, and he says that Trevor is where he is supposed to be.
I think Trevor had an outstanding, he wants to learn. He wants to be coached hard. He wants to be told, during practice. I think Trevor had an outstanding game last week, but I think every week, actually from the very first day of practice, we always talked about, hey, how are we going to get better each day? There's always going to be something we can improve from, we can learn from. Being the first year in a system, there's certain things you see for the first time, or, you go from week to week game planning. There's some new wrinkles you put in that maybe we've talked about, we haven't run them. So you're just always trying to improve. And I think it was a step in the right direction last week. But I think he's done an outstanding job of preparing. He's worked his tail off week in, week out, every day, learning to execute our system the way he needs to.
So when you have a game like that where you complete 81% of your passes, as the coach, what are you telling him he has to get better at?
Well, there's little things. There's always going to be the little details, the footwork, his drops, his pocket presence, accuracy on more often not he completed most of the balls, but there's certain things that he can look back and say, I might not put the ball in this place. So there's always the little things. You're always trying to play that. You're never going to play a perfect game, but you're always striving to play the perfect game.
What's it tell you about a quarterback that he has a tough game like he did in London and then flips it and has maybe one of his best games the very next week?
You have to have a short memory in this business. He plays a very difficult position. Not only do you have to know what everybody's doing, and everyone around them has got to be doing their jobs to help you be successful. So you take one game at a time. It's one play, one series, 1 week at a time. You just keep on going. And he's a young player, and he's got a very bright future, so he just got to continue to learn and continue to play the way he did last week.
The people who watch him on television or from the stands see him on the field, may see him on the sidelines. What do you see from him in the classroom, in the meeting setting, the learning that goes on where people don't see?
Well, the great thing about Trevor, he's the same guy every day. There's the ups and downs of, practice, through training, the offseason program, training camp. There's going to be some mistakes, and then you get to the games like we've been playing now. There's going to be the ups and downs. There's the certain plays you wish you had back, and there's certain a lot of really good plays, but you just keep going. And that's the way he is. On the sideline, you see him. He's that same guy. He just stays very mellow. He just goes out there to try to do the best job he possibly can be. And, he wants to learn. He wants to be coached hard. He wants to be told, during practice, during the meetings, all the little things to help him be a great player.
I think people know you worked with a lot of great quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers and Peyton Manning. Are they the exact same way? Is that a trait of a great quarterback?
No doubt. They all want to – they're all striving to, like I mentioned earlier, to play that perfect game. And there's a reason why, Phillip and Peyton are two of the best to ever play this game. And they're both different. And that's what the great ones do. They want to be coached hard, and they want to do everything right. And I think the great ones, they make everyone around them better. And they push everyone on the practice field, in the meeting room. They're challenging everyone, not just players but coaches.
What do you tell him about Arrowhead Stadium? You did your time in the AFC West. When that team is playing well, that stadium is a unique beast.
It's one of my favorite places to play as a visitor. That's the way the game should be played, or the type of stadiums you should be playing in and week out, because it's such a great environment, such a great atmosphere. You love it. And, having coached in a number of games there, it's a great experience. And, it's the first time for Trevor going in there, and it can tell him a lot of great stories about it. We've talked a lot about it, but it's a special place.
Do you block the noise out, or do you embrace it?
I don't hear it. To be honest with you, I don't hear a lot game day. I kind of block all that out. And, obviously, as a coach, you have a headset on, but as a player, too, I didn't hear a lot of it. You were so focused playing back in the days. Now, I didn't play in places like, there back in the days, but when I was playing. But it's just something you got to just focus on your job and go out there and eliminate, and noise makes us calm.
Final thought then, big picture with 8 games left to play. There's a lot of room for improvement, isn't there?
It's one day, 1 week at a time, one opponent at a time, and that's the most important thing. And I always tell Trev, hey, you're always trying to get better every day, and playing for the future. It's not just today, but it's tomorrow. It's moving forward every day. You're trying to get better, and he's got a lot of football left ahead of him, and he's just got to take it one day, one opponent at a time, and continue to get better.
I got to steal one more question. I don't know whether you saw it, but he was mic'd up last week, and he was chippy. There was a trash-talking side of him that a lot of people who saw it didn't necessarily think was him. Do you see that playful side from him?
Well, the interesting thing is, he didn't tell me he was mic'd up to start. Someone came up to me and told me. So then I gave him a bad time about that. And then, during the game, I heard a little clip the other night. My son and my wife were talking about there's a little clip I need to watch. So I watched it. And actually one of the players, Denzel Perryman, who I drafted in San Diego, and one of my favorite players, he was talking trash to Denzel. When Denzel hit him on the one time he pulled the ball and got hit pretty good from the side. And then, he starts, chirping at Denzel, this, that, and I love it. When you're coaching Phillip Rivers, you hear that all day long. And it's just because it's the passion, it's the love for the game. That's part of the game, just having fun. They loved it. They love to talk a little bit here and there. So it was good to see that side of him. I had not seen that before.
You stand to talk to Mike McCoy, who has been through the wars with young quarterbacks and really good quarterbacks. You feel good about where Trevor Lawrence can get to have a mentor like that in the room with him every week.
Yeah, he's seen it, he's done it, he's helped guys get really far down the road to Hall of Fame type careers, and you like to hear what Mike McCoy says, and I think everyone expresses it, that Trevor's basically unflappable. That's who he is, but at the same time, he does have that little something extra in him, that competitive drive, and, McCoy sees that, we see it very sparingly. Marvin Jones earlier talked about it. It was basically like, we see it all the time. If you mic'd him up all the time, you'd see a lot more of that stuff.
The unflappable side is going to be tested today at Arrowhead Stadium, and perhaps the trash-talking side will come out once again. That would be a good sign for the Jaguars. We'll take a break. When we come back, first round's on us. Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman join us from Arrowhead Stadium. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show. This is Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in D.C., Los Angeles. Watch them win in Philly, Indy, Detroit, Nashville, New York, and Houston. When you fly nonstop from Jax, on airport parking, we'll punt the stress from your travel itinerary. Garage facilities offer defensive coverage from the weather and are a 50-yard dash from the terminal. Economy parking is just $6 a day. To learn more about nonstop flights and on-airport parking, visit flyjax.com.
Hey, Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Hold on. You want me to tell them about Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea in just 30 seconds? This is impossible. Hey, I'm Billy from Twisted Tea. How can I explain that first sip of cold, smooth, real brewed tea? So good! And the extra kick you get from just the right amount of alcohol? The twist of lemon, Wait, what? We're almost out of time? Oh, shit. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Look for the bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
All right, final segment of hour number one of the Publix Tailgate Show. Top of the hour, JP Shadrick slides in here with Mike, and we roll towards kickoff at 1 o'clock in Kansas City. Time now, though, for a couple of former first-round picks, a Hall of Famer among them. We call it the First Round's on Us. You know them as Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman. And, fellas, we're going to start with our UF Health, delivering compassionate care and world-class outcomes. That's our game plan. So find a solution for me, if you can, to Travis Kelce.
Good luck. How about that?
Yeah, that's not
Great.
an easy
That's
one,
all
right?
we need. Thanks, guys.
I mean, here's the reality. The guy is on pace to do and is doing things that's never been done in the National Football League. I mean, he's had 6 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. A couple years ago, he set the single-season record with over 1,400 yards receiving. He's on pace to probably match that. He could surpass that. He's the number one scorer in the National Football League. I mean, there's nothing that this guy can't do, and I don't think that there's one solution to stopping him. I think it's got to be a complete group effort. You got to use safeties. You got to have the jam at the line of scrimmage with defensive ends when given the opportunity. It's got to be defensive backs, linebackers, and I can tell you this, you're not going to stop him, Tony. I mean, you just hope to slow him down.
Yeah, I think that's right, Jeff. I mean, I think you want to minimize his impact during the game because it's not just the on-schedule plays. I think what makes it so difficult is that Patrick Mahomes is as good as anybody at buying time and extending plays, and there's like an innate connection between Kelce and Mahomes. where he is so good in the scramble drills of creating space and finding open areas in zone and then just winning in man. And so when Mahomes starts getting outside the pocket or running around, it's like Travis Kelce knows right where to be, and he's open, and that's where a lot of those big plays come.
And Brian and Mike and Tony, I don't know if you guys saw, it was, I think with year, they were talking about this play that they just went ahead and did their own thing. They adjusted kind of, I guess, through a conversation with Andy Reid, and they said, hey, look, we feel like this play is open, and they ended up like altering the play on the sideline. Next time they go back out there, they run this kind of new design play. But that's what level that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are at. I mean, they're so ingrained with each other's thought process that they can do things like that. Trevor Lawrence and Evan Ingram aren't there yet. But Kelce and Mahomes, I mean, they're at a whole different level.
And I think, Jeff, you'll agree with this. I mean, Travis Kelce is a great, all-time great tight end. I mean, that's just a fact. And, I don't know of any great players that aren't really smart as well. And Travis Kelce is like another quarterback out there. So he understands the nuances of the coverages and what they're trying to do and how to get open and to create space. And so you have him and Mahomes that are operating at that level together and having been doing it for a while now. And then you add Andy Reid, who's one of the best play callers and offensive coaches in the history of this game.
Right.
The three of them make it really difficult on any defense.
I can tell you this, Brian and Mike, man, I want to be the agent for him and his brother's offspring. I mean, this is like football royalty, right? The Kelce family. I mean, it's like the Matthews family.
I just want to throw this one at you. In 2016, the Jaguars held him to 5 for 58. That was the 2016 team because they got him thrown out with back-to-back unsportsmanlike.
Maybe that's what we can do. Let's get him thrown out of the
penalties.
game.
If you can do that today, you can win.
Yeah, but he's matured a lot since that point, and
that's when he threw the flag. I remember that game here. He picked up the flag and threw it at the official.
I remember.
He did, and I give him a lot of credit because at that point he wasn't really a complete tight end. He didn't block very well, and I remember having a conversation with Andy Heck on the field before the game. And Andy, longtime coach in Jacksonville, great player in the National Football League, and he's now the offensive line coach here in Kansas City. And I was talking to him about Travis Kelce, and I was like, man, if that guy ever learned to block, he would really help you guys. And he said, yeah, he's still kind of growing, and he's really become a complete tight end. And the scary thing is that this Kansas City Chiefs team has players like him. What I mean by that is the best at their position in the National Football League. I mean, Travis Kelce is arguably the best tight end. They've got the best center, I think, in football in Creed Humphrey.
Second best. I'll put Kelce's brother ahead of him.
Well, I mean, right now you look at it. I mean, it's kind of cutting hairs.
Yeah,
here, okay?
I'm being facetious.
Right.
To your point.
The left guard, Joe Tooney's one of the best guards in football. They got arguably the best quarterback. They got arguably the best defensive tackle in football. I mean, this is a good roster, and it's a good football team and a great coach.
You guys, Kelce got his last week against the Titans, but the Titans held a 17-9 lead going to the fourth quarter. Is there anything from the way Tennessee played Kansas City that the Jags can put to effect today?
Well, Mike, I think not just Tennessee, but I think you go back and look at the Colts game. The Colts beat the Chiefs, which is, I think, now looking at it like, how the heck did they do that? And so you go back and look at teams who's had success against Mahomes. And I think the common denominator are teams that have the discipline and the patience to understand, like, hey, we're going to keep everything in front of us. We're going to make them beat us on long drives. And so we might give up some stuff underneath, but if we come up and tackle, take away the stuff over the top, sooner or later Mahomes is going to get frustrated and make a mistake, or they're not going to be able to continue, force field goals instead of getting into letting them score touchdowns. And that's been the case. I mean, you look at the AFC Championship last year against the Bengals. In the first half, the Bengals gave up some big plays, and they changed their look. They played more shell coverage, keep everything in front. If they run the ball a little bit, okay, that's fine. You just don't want to get into a track meet with Patrick Mahomes on the other sideline.
No, and they're a little different, because they don't have Tyreek Hill this year, and they're starting to get really comfortable with Juju Smith-Schuster.
He's a good player.
And looking at the numbers in the last 3 games, he has 325 yards receiving, and Mahomes has a 145 quarterback rating going in his direction. And so he's getting comfortable with a guy that's opposite of Kelce. And I think what's interesting, too, is because they don't have Tyreek Hill, and I credit Bucky Brooks. He actually forwarded this information to us, and it's from Next Gen, and it's how defensive coordinators are approaching Patrick Mahomes this year without Tyreek Hill. And the blitz percentage has increased dramatically because now there's not that guy, that Tyreek Hill, that they're scared to death about. That, you know, but the reality is you can blitz Patrick Mahomes, and the scary thing is teams are doing it. But I think that's where his ability to extend plays is coming out more, and his ability to run with his legs. I mean, last week in the game against Tennessee, he ended up running for 63 yards and a touchdown. You know, so that's the scary thing about Patrick Mahomes. You can change your approach because he doesn't have Tyreek Hill, but he's so talented he can still beat you in different ways.
Hey, Jeff, even against Tennessee, and correct me if I'm wrong, but their blitzes they still only bring 4. They drop guys in the zone coverage, and so you're trying to confuse. I don't see very many teams having a ton of success bringing 5, 6, and still forcing man coverage out there because of Kelce, Smith-Schuster, and the ability of Mahomes, even when you have a free rusher, to extend that play and make a miss. And then now all of a sudden you're on the back half playing man, holding on for dear life.
It'll be interesting to see if Mike Caldwell goes with your approach, Tony, which is, you know, playing kind of a zone, softer coverage and keeping everything in front and keeping it simple and reacting. Will that work? I don't know. And will it be the approach? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, have a great broadcast today. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Thanks
boys.
to you, Mike, and to Tony Smith and Linda Fortunato. Hour number 1 is in the books. You get JP Shadrick from here on out. Have a good broadcast.
All right, let's get another dub, Brian.
You're listening to Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Basketball action is back at the University of North Florida. Come watch the Ospreys start their season at the newly upgraded UNF Arena. Be there for the men's basketball home opener, November 19th against SC State. Free t-shirts for the first 700 fans. It's also Military Appreciation Day. Military and immediate family members receive free admission. Go Ospreys, and thank you to all who serve. Visit UNFOspreys.com for tickets and details.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
You've been putting back a few. And a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
And it's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. We're 2 hours away from Week 10. The Jacksonville Jaguars 3-6. The Kansas City Chiefs 6-2. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. We're in the Jaguars Radio Network studio at TIAA Bank Field as the Jaguars try to go upset the Chiefs today. One of the top teams in the AFC. 4 straight AFC championship games for the Chiefs. Yeah. The Jaguars snapped a 5-game losing skid last week to try to get back on track. And, hey, go out to Kansas City, put it all out there before the bye week.
Why not, right? I mean, Kansas City is really good. We know that, but they're not unbeatable. They haven't been this year, and it's been a while since they dropped, I guess, a few weeks to the Bills. But prior to that, the Colts back in Week 3. That's a team that just the week before the Jaguars had handled. They also kind of struggled with the Chargers in Week 2. The Jaguars went out and pounded them. It was interesting they played the same opponents in back-to-back weeks. We're not getting the same Chiefs team from Weeks 2 and 3, I don't think, though, JP. They're on a little bit more of a hot streak, winning 4 of their last 5 here. Come from behind victory over the Titans last week, but it just went to show you that they don't care about balance. They don't care about game plan. They said, this is what Tennessee's given us. They're going to let us drop back and throw. They took away the run. They were only able to run it 13 times for 14 yards, taking the quarterback scrambles out. So they dropped back to throw it over 70 times last week, and they're able to eke out a win.
Let's get to some of today's top stories, starting with the Jaguars rallying for a win last week against the Raiders. This week, another challenge, of course, one of the top teams in the AFC on the road in a hostile environment. Head coach Doug Peterson can learn something about his team this week.
I think you can learn a lot. One, the character of your team. You're on the road, hostile, crowd noise, all that, and really how we respond to after a win last weekend and building off of that. This is a great opportunity for our guys, to go in there and play a really good football team, well-coached team, disciplined football team. It'll be a nice, benchmark game for us to see where we're at.
They were down 17-0 last week, rallied back to win that game. That doesn't happen a lot around the league. You get down 17. Those comebacks are fairly rare. They had been close in the other games, unable to finish. Maybe they find a way to – maybe that sparks them to something after last week's win.
Look, I think the Jags showed you that they're capable of playing much better football than they had the previous 5 weeks. They had played good football, but not good enough to win. They played a really good second half last week. Not so great in the first half. They can't afford to get behind Kansas City like they got behind Las Vegas, though, JP. This team needs to start faster offensively, put some points on the board in the first quarter. You get down 17-0 to Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be a long, long day.
Trevor Lawrence, efficient last week, helped move the offense down the field in key moments late in the game. This week, the Chiefs' defense gives them a little different look.
Their defense as a whole seem really well coached. They do a good job of limiting the big plays, and I think they're playing well. Obviously, look at this season, and they've had a lot of close games, and they've really been able to play really, really good in the second half. You look offensively and defensively. They might get behind, but then they're never out of it. So this is a team where you understand who you're playing, you understand who's on the other side of the ball, and I got all the faith in the world in our defense, but you do understand like the explosiveness of their offense, and just kind of we gotta play a great game, and it's that way every week, but especially this week.
Have all the faith in the world in the defense, but yes, we know who's on the other side.
Still Kansas City, right? But I mean, look, that's just reality. Although the defense is coming off an exceptional half of football. As the Raiders had it 5 times. They went turnover on downs once, had 3 punts, and then the turnover to end the game. So at least the defense is coming off a good second half performance.
Now to Travis Etienne. The Jaguars running back carried the ball 28 times in last week's win. But the question, though, is that kind of workload sustainable? Offensive coordinator Press Taylor this week.
He had 30 touches the other night. Long term, is that the right way to handle it? It's hard to say we're not going to give one of our best players the football as much as we can, but, doing it the right way, making sure that he's handling things the right way. He's very professional in his approach, does a great job with his recovery. Our strength staff does a great job of getting all these guys, and that's why I think you've seen kind of the health play out throughout the year.
Now, we'll hear from Fred Taylor coming up in Countdown to Kickoff. He was used to getting 28 carries a week or so when he played in the 90s and the early 2000s, but a little different world these days.
I'm curious. I don't think they want to give him the ball 28 times. Now, if they're up by 3 scores, then maybe he gets it.
I'll be honest. I'll look up the numbers, but I bet Fred's memory is a little fuzzy on that. I don't think they're giving him the ball 28 times that often. That's a big number in the National Football League. But look, can Travis Etienne handle that in the short term? That's the question, because you got a bye week coming up. He doesn't have a ton of carries that have weighed him down this year, so he should have relatively fresh legs despite the 51 carries in the last 2 weeks, JP. So I think he could be in for another sizable workload today, but over the course of the season, you're going to have to pare this down some. 51 carries over the course of 17 games every 2 weeks is going to put you on a league record pace. He is not built for that.
It starts up front, though, for the Jaguars' offensive line, of course, against a good veteran Chiefs defensive front. Left tackle Cam Robinson for the Jags knows the battle ahead today.
From what I've noticed, they all play the game extremely hard. Like you said, they do have Dunlap, they do have Chris Jones. Both of those guys are great players. Both of those guys are veteran players. They know exactly what they're doing. They know how to play the game. They've seen everything. They've done everything. So we're going to have our hands full with those guys, and it'll be a fun challenge for us.
All day long, and Chris Jones on the interior, one of the top players, and then a veteran in Carlos Dunlap, who's been around the league now, 13 years.
Dunlap played great last week. He was all over the place, and they need him to because Frank Clark is serving today the second of a 2-game suspension. So that's a benefit for the Jaguars certainly there, but Chris Jones can wreck a football game. The Titans did a really nice job on him for the majority of that game, but he had a half sack late that was crucial into helping them secure a victory, and that's the kind of thing with him. You can keep him quiet for 3 quarters, and he can still break loose and hurt you, so you're going to have to watch him all day.
Now to the defense, and battling against Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. The pass rush is certainly key, and defensive lineman DeJuan Smoot knows Mahomes has many ways to beat you.
It's challenging just knowing that he can be able to get it out at any time. But, I mean, for us as pass rushers, we just got to keep coming. We already know, like, the first guy might not get him down. The second guy might, the third guy that's coming in. We just got to make sure we're all rushing and be ready to just run around all game. We know they're going to pass the ball 50, 60 times that game. So we just got to eat light and be ready to run around that week for sure.
Good idea, DeJuan. So, that's the interior rush. He had 2 sacks last week, a key sack late on a third down on the final drive for Las Vegas to really – force that fourth down play. But the edge guys, they can't let Mahomes get out there. That off schedule, running around, do I run, do I throw, can I throw it 60 yards down the field? That's where Patrick Mahomes really can beat you.
True, but you still have to be aggressive, right? Like, you've got to get upfield, and what you can't do is you can't get too far upfield where he can step up and then cut out to the side, and then the play breaks down, and that's where he's at his best, JP. But if you come in there kind of – half speed, he has taken advantage of that so many times. And so go at him aggressively. Trust that your guy who's backing you up is going to be in the right spot. DeJuan Smoot's as hot as anybody on this football team right now with 3.5 sacks in the last 2 weeks. Love to see him add to that total today.
Rookie linebacker Devin Lloyd trying to get it going about halfway through his rookie campaign. He understands the challenge that comes with the Chiefs throwing the ball all day long.
I think they pass it like 68 times, and I mean, rightfully so, because obviously he has the arm to do it. So it was definitely a challenge, and the extended plays, him scrambling, being able to elongate the plays is going to be also a challenge. So really, we just got to just plaster and make sure we're locked in.
And who covers Kelce as well is a big question. In the secondary, though, you got to stay with your guy for a long time, according to quarterback Trey Herndon.
That's going to have to be the emphasis, discipline. In our communication, discipline in our technique, eyes, body position, all the small things that we're working on in OTAs, at the beginning of the year. Coming back to that point, man, to help us win, to put us in the best position to make plays on a dynamic offense like the Chiefs have.
Curious, obviously, how the Jaguars play this against Kelce especially. Is it a corner? Is it 2 guys on him? Is it a linebacker and somebody else? Do they mix it up throughout the day? It kind of depends on where he is.
I doubt that they'll go with one game plan and stick with it. It's usually not that effective, right? I mean, they'll pepper him. They threw it to him 17 times last week, and they're very comfortable. They're going to throw it to him at least 10 times today. You would think, JP, I'm going to mix up my coverages if I'm Mike Caldwell to be sure. But the one thing that you have going for you for the defense, Mecole Hardman has been hot the last few weeks. He's not going to play today. Jerick McKinnon showed up on the injury report this week, questionable with a multitude of various ailments. He played 62% of the offensive snaps for the Chiefs last week, so he has become the go-to guy in that backfield. They could be without two of their key players on offense today.
Finally, the crowd noise. Arrowhead, one of the loudest stadiums in all of sports for the visiting team. Tight end Evan Ingram this week on what it takes to overcome that noise.
You go into a place like this, you have to be sharp with the silent count. You got to be sharp with the communication in the huddle, because once you break the huddle, you're probably not going to be able to have a conversation. Just staying focused, staying locked in. When you get in the zone, all that noise kind of tunes out, and you go out there and play. So that's big for us. We're going to work on all that this week. When we get there on Sunday, it'll be time for us to put it all together.
All that noise tunes out, huh? You get in the zone and then see what happens. But you know what helps? Getting a lead and playing good offensive
them
football.
Down by your play,
That's
but
right.
they've all had that party line this week. Like, oh, noise, we don't even notice that when it's that. Okay, we'll find out today, because this is the stadium along with Seattle that gives you the most consistently loud atmosphere for the home team when they're playing well.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. Let's go to Arrowhead Stadium. It is chilly, I would say, it looks like. We'll hear from Ashlyn Sullivan, who would have a better idea than us. She's sitting there right now. How is it today, Ashlyn? Good morning.
It is good. Honestly, it's not terrible. Maybe that's just coming now from experience, where I'm not going to try to just wear one jacket. I have about 14 jackets, and I think we're feeling – Bucky Brooks and I were just talking about that. We have as many layers as possible, because we're not playing around anymore after we've been scarred by Philadelphia a couple weeks ago. So we are ready, and I think that's making it a little more bearable.
Serious business today in this cold weather environment in Kansas City. I believe the press box, though, the radio booth is closed in, if I'm not mistaken.
It is closed, and I'm sitting in here right now. Beautiful windows, beautiful day. The sun has come out. Yesterday it was very cloudy and windy, so it was colder yesterday. So, yeah, it's not terrible, I will say, coming from a Florida girl.
Yeah, currently 29 degrees, a high today, forecast around 40, and bright sunshine in Kansas City at Arrowhead. All right, Ashlyn, so this is a Jags team that rallied last week. They were down 17-0. They found a way to get back in the game and win the game against the Raiders. This one is a different feel today. You're going on the road against one of the top teams in the AFC. I think 4 straight AFC championship game appearances for the Chiefs. This is a premier offensive football team especially, and you got to keep up with them, it feels like.
It certainly does, and I was just listening in. Tracy Wolf, the CBS Sports Sideline reporter, we just had an interview with head coach Doug Peterson, and Coach Peterson kind of stated the obvious. Yeah, of course, this is a really good football team against the Chiefs, but he didn't downplay it, but he almost said, we got to worry about us. It doesn't matter who we're playing. We've heard all week how incredible the Chiefs are, how incredible this offense is. If we get past worrying about us, we're worrying too far. So I love how in sync the players and coaches have been this week with that message that we can't shoot ourselves in the foot. That's the first thing we have to worry about before we go worry about who we're playing at this point.
That's right. Yeah, get in and out of the huddle. Keep moving the sticks and do your thing. They've been in most every game, of course, this year. You mentioned Tracy Wolfson. This is the A crew of CBS today. We'll have Jim Nantz coming up in just a little bit here on the Publix Tailgate Show. Tony Romo, the analyst, of course, and Tracy on the sideline. And it's been a little while since we've had the A crew on CBS, Ashlyn.
It has. The past game was 2018. They had them back-to-back. They had this game in Arrowhead in 2018 when the Jaguars came in here 3-1. They lost that game, and then we had them again against the Cowboys, and we all remember that's kind of where the wheels fell off. Yeah. You're coming off that incredible playoff run, and that's, I think, when everyone realized that 2018 season, this is a different football team. So, yeah, it's been since 2018 that we've had this crew, and I caught up with them yesterday at the hotel after their production meetings, and that's kind of difficult for this crew. It's been such a long time since they've covered a Jaguars game. They have to go so in-depth with this roster. For example, Jim Nantz was asking me opinions on the 4th and 5th receiver on the team, and I was thinking, I don't know if you need to know that for tomorrow, but they got to go so in-depth because they're so not used to calling these Jaguars games where they're so familiar with the Chiefs and the Cowboys and the teams they cover almost weekly.
It's a whole new organization since 2018.
Oh, yeah. It's
really
totally
top to
different.
bottom.
But what was cool to hear is Tony Romo and Jim Nantz and all these these CBS Sports folks predicting that they're going to have many more Jaguars games to come. And you could feel they noticed just the difference from the 2018 year.
All right. Ashlyn, you'll have you don't have an off the field this week. Thanks, Hurricane Nicole. But you'll have
thanks a lot.
Next week a big one coming up.
Yes, we're going to have Trevor Lawrence here on Tuesday, little bye-week edition of Off the Field, and kind of talking just halfway through the season where his mind is at, the confidence, where he's feeling. And more so just getting to know Trevor, the segment, off the field. There's been so much focus on his football life and kind of getting to know him more so on the personal side.
We'll look forward to that next week. Enjoy the cold weather environment in Kansas City today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, JP.
Ashlyn Sullivan joining us. We're back in a moment. Speaking of, we'll hear from Jim Nantz coming up, CBS Sports play-by-play announcer ahead of the 1 o'clock kickoff today in Kansas City. The Jaguars and the Chiefs coming up, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. SMART. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Want to make sure he gets to the game on time?
Tommy, your uniform is ready. Let's go.
Install a natural gas dryer, and you're guaranteed faster drying times and softer laundry. And now you can earn a valuable cash rebate up to $200 on an energy-efficient natural gas dryer. Show your home love with natural gas, and it loves you right back. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Tired of hearing "fine" to every question you ask your child? Conversations with a child or teen in your life may sometimes feel one-sided, but they help build the foundation for lifelong mental wellness. Getting started can be difficult, but you don't have to do it alone. Wolfson Children's On Our Sleeves program provides just what you need to spark conversations that have lasting benefits. For free tools and expert advice delivered to your inbox each month, visit wolfsonchildrens.com/onoursleeves.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. We're inside 2 hours from Week 10. The Jacksonville Jaguars 3-6. The Kansas City Chiefs 6-2. A 1 o'clock kickoff time at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Let's go around the National Football League. It's Week 10.
All right, JP, we got a game in progress. It's the last of these 9:30 kickoffs over in Europe. This one in Germany, NFL's first ever game in Germany. The Tampa Bay Bucks are the official home team hosting Seattle, and the Buccaneers lead at 14-3 right now. Tom Brady with a 31-yard touchdown pass to Julio Jones in the second quarter. Leonard Fournette, who did not start the game for the Buccaneers, gave way to rookie Rachaad White, did come on and is the Bucs' leading rusher right now with 57 yards and a 1-yard scoring run as well. But Fournette on a halfback option pass just threw an interception a moment ago, tried a halfback throwback to Tom Brady, who fell down, and Brady compounded it by trying to trip the Seattle defender who picked the ball off. But it's 14-3 Bucs with 6.5 remaining there in the third quarter. Around the rest of the National Football League, Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen expected to try and play today despite a strained ulnar collateral ligament in his throwing elbow. Allen missed practice both Wednesday and Thursday, but the Bills elected not to elevate a third quarterback from the practice squad for today's game versus the Minnesota Vikings. Allen expected to be able to start as usual. That may not be the case, however, for a pair of NFC West quarterbacks who are set to square off later on this afternoon. The Rams' Matt Stafford has spent the week in the league's concussion protocol, and although he hasn't been officially ruled out yet, L.A. said to be preparing for Jacksonville's own John Wolford to get the start. Meanwhile, Arizona quarterback Kyler Murray has been dealing with a hamstring injury, so the Cardinals could be forced to turn to backup Colt McCoy when they square off with the Rams in that game later on this afternoon. Tennessee quarterback Ryan Tannehill expected to return from a 2-week absence due to an ankle injury. The Titans also expected to have rookie wide receiver Treylon Burks back in the lineup when they take on Denver today following 4 missed games for Burks due to turf toe. Also in the AFC South, Houston Texans wide receiver Brandon Cooks, who's listed as questionable with a wrist injury this week, is expected to play as the injury is considered minor. However, Cooks has reportedly been stripped of his captaincy in response to his public and private criticism of the Texans organization after they didn't deal him at the trade deadline. And then finally, during the bye week, the New York Giants reportedly had contract talks with the idea of signing Saquon Barkley, their running back, to a long-term deal. Barkley currently second in the National Football League with 779 rushing yards to this point in the season. No deal came to fruition. Giants general manager Joe Shane had told reporters on November 2nd that the team would only try to extend players during the season if it came during the bye week, so Barkley likely now has to wait until after this year if he's going to get a contract done with the G-Men.
There you have it, a look around the National Football League. If you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150. Loaded with impressive capabilities and designed to dominate, work, play, and everything in between, this truck makes tough look easy. Your local Ford dealer, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jim Nantz of CBS Sports has the call of today's game for the first time in a few years. I asked him about the steady leadership of Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson.
No, I think there's a consistency, and there's also a quiet confidence that he exudes, but that the players and everybody in the organization can definitely feed off of that. They can feel it. There's something about his presence. I've got this is kind of what he says with his body language, and he does. I've always thought he was not given enough credit for his innovation, some of the cool things that he's done as a head coach, just the imagination he's come up with offensively, and learning from Andy Reid, of course, from being with him in Philadelphia, to Kansas City, and on and on. Listen, the Jags have their man. They've got the right guy on the sideline. There's no question.
You know, you mentioned Andy Reid there. We were talking about this on a show earlier this week. Obviously, Reid comes from the Green Bay thing. Of course, Doug was there as a player, and then in Philadelphia, you had Donovan McNabb to run that offense, and now in Kansas City, the offense is running at its highest level with Mahomes there. But it's really opened a new era of scoring and execution in the NFL on offense. Bill Belichick set the standard on defense, for the last 20 years, it feels like. Is Andy Reid that on the offensive side in the NFL?
I think that's a very well-phrased comment you just made. I haven't had anybody quite stitch it together the way you just did, but I don't think there's any question that his influence is being felt throughout the league. Of course, I'm not taking nothing away from him. I mean, this is an amazing coach, a Hall of Fame coach, and he's got all the parts in place. You've got to have the right guys to be able to to execute when you're doing new things, and they definitely have that talent level. But it starts with a creative mind, JP. Let's put it that way. And Andy is interesting. We get a lot of their games, and I just spoke about this yesterday to a friend of mine. Andy comes from a home as a young kid where creativity was emphasized. His father was a set designer in Hollywood. His father worked in film and television. He found ways to, build backgrounds and, imaginary places. And in golf, we talk about people being either a scientist or an artist. You got the people that grind over all the analytics and the track man and the feedback you get out of that. And then you got people that just stand over a shot and say, it looks like this. I want to kind of carve something in. They see it in their head. They can follow the ball. They can imagine it. Andy Reid is an artist. He's the son of an artist. And now he is the father, if you will, of this imaginative way in the NFL to play offensive football. And its effects are being felt in a lot of places. And listen, Doug Peterson is one of the first disciples, if not the first. So I'm looking forward to that matchup. I'm looking forward to having a chance to see it all unfold. And now that we're 25 games into Lawrence's career, I think we're starting to see the signs that he's going to be an elite quarterback. Of course, Etienne is going to be an elite running back. So it's exciting. I think for Jags fans, this is a very good time to be. If you jumped off the bandwagon before, you better jump on right now because the seats are going to be filled here pretty quickly.
Jim Nantz with us. Hey, you mentioned Trevor Lawrence, and yes, there are some really good signs. Some throws that he makes that not a lot of other guys can make, but then there are some head-scratching moments still in the red zone, goal-to-go situation, interceptions in the end zone, things like that. But you just have to fight through some of that learning curve if you're a Jaguar fan, and he's got to go play and fight through some of these mistakes.
Of course he does. And there aren't many players in the league who don't go through this growing process. I'm talking not just current, I'm talking about the history of the league, the growing pains. And listen, we know the stats of what it looked like when Peyton Manning was a rookie in the NFL. And we know this is a second year for Trevor. But the point is, you got to get the game to slow down. I think it is slowing down. And I've watched a lot of the Jacksonville games this year. I think the one that everyone would like to have back the most is the one from the 1 yard line over in London and that interception. But it happens. Aaron Rodgers threw 2 interceptions last week in the red zone. And he's Aaron Rodgers. And they're floundering. So it happens to the best of them. But I also know that last week there was a stretch where Trevor went 18 out of 19 for a couple hundred yards. And he looked like a world beater. And the more he plays, the more often he's going to look like a world beater.
Jim, how do you cover Travis Kelce? Slow him down? He's the guy.
There's a lot of coordinators around the league that like to have that answer, trust me. And he hasn't slowed down at all. He's been around now 10 years, and he's as automatic as they come for figuring out ways to create separation. He uses his body brilliantly to box out guys. And in the middle of the field, he can turn around and turn and catch with the best of them, pick up an easy 10 at crucial times. But he's a very rare talent. Listen, he's gonna shatter like almost every tight end record when it's all said and done. So you're talking first ballot Hall of Famer right there. But I don't think anybody with my limited skills of coaching football would ever expect me to be able to have that answer. There's some great minds out there that've never figured that one out.
Jim Nantz with us.
I guess one way you could, JP, is you put 3 guys on them and just go ahead and say the other 2 guys, McCoy, Hardman. Name your chief wideout. Just go ahead and let them just be wide open. That's the only way you can stop us. But I think you need 3 guys on them, and that's just not possible.
Hit him at the line, hit him down the field, double cover him, and see what happens. Pray after that.
And he's still going to go over 100.
That's Jim Nantz, of course, CBS Sports, the exclusive extended conversation with him, available now on the official Jaguars Podcast Network. It's free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download pods, also on Jaguars.com. Just click the podcast tab at the top of the homepage. Coming up in about 15 minutes, a fantasy forecast from Mike Dempsey. We'll hear from Frank Frangie in the broadcast booth as well. The Jaguars and the Chiefs coming up. We'll have the Inactives when we come back, and a pregame Huddle Up podcast with Bucky Brooks and John Oehser from Arrowhead. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time in Week 10 for the Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Yingling Traditional Lager. The beer for drinkers who know how to tap into their inner eagle and spread their wings. So prepare yourself for takeoff and let your night take flight. When your lips meet that cold, crisp amber lager, there's no looking back. So fly over the radar. Tonight's about the lager, and this lager is all about soaring higher. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings. DJ Yingling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please drink responsibly. Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in D.C., Los Angeles. Watch them win in Philly, Indy, Detroit, Nashville, New York, and Houston. When you fly nonstop from Jax, on airport parking, we'll punt the stress from your travel itinerary. Garage facilities offer defensive coverage from the weather and are a 50-yard dash from the terminal. Economy parking is just $6 a day. To learn more about nonstop flights and on-airport parking, visit flyjax.com.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 3-6 and the Kansas City Chiefs at 6-2 coming up at 1 o'clock at Arrowhead in Kansas City. Let's get to the inactives for today's game. The Jaguars have 5 players down and the usual suspects today. Wide receiver Kendrick Pryor inactive. Tyree Gillespie, a safety, is out. Javon Campbell, cornerback, is inactive. Deshaun Dixon, rookie outside linebacker, is out, and John Miller, offensive lineman. Those are the 5 down today for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That means Rayshon Jenkins is up, so that's good news. The Jaguars' safety is ready to roll.
Need every option to throw at Kelce as possible. Here, 6 guys for the Chiefs not playing today, although Jerick McKinnon is not among them, so he will be available. Mecole Hardman, we told you earlier, had already been ruled out. Running back Ronald Jones, quarterback Shane Buechele, safety Nazeeh Johnson, defensive end Joshua Kando, and tackle Darian Kennard join Mecole Hardman on the sidelines for Kansas City today.
All right, the inactives are in. Let's go back to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City and welcome in NFL Network analyst, Jaguars radio field analyst, and I'm sure dressed very warmly, Bucky Brooks, and Jaguars.com senior writer John Oehser joining us as well for a pregame huddle up. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Good. Yeah, John Oehser dresses normal. Not worried about the cold that much, so Bucky's taking care of that. And I got news for you guys. Bucky is not a believer in the 4-time AFC Championship game participating Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's a naysayer. I think he thinks the Jags win this one.
Really?
I think they absolutely can win. I think every game is winnable if you're willing to do the right thing to win it.
Okay, well
every game,
all right.
every game is winnable.
Maybe not quite as strong as I thought.
Every game is winnable. But no, look, for the whole week, man, I've heard about how great the Chiefs are, and I just want to understand they lost to the Indianapolis Colts. They were getting mollywopped by the Tennessee Titans, who only had one first down from the middle of the second quarter on. So I don't want to make them out to be like they're this super team. Like, they're a really good team, but they have flaws too.
A quarterback can play a little bit.
Yeah, the quarterback can play, and Travis Kelce can play, but they got some guys out there that they're hiding too.
All right.
Well, guys, all week there's been so much focus on what do the Jags do against the Kansas City offense. Let's start on the other side. What does Trevor Lawrence do for an encore against his Kansas City defense today, coming off a pretty solid performance against the Raiders?
No more thing, he has to take care of the ball. Because with their offense, you don't want to give them extra possessions. You don't want to give Pat Mahomes extra possession to be able to attack the defense. So Trevor Lawrence has to take care of the ball. He has to be the distributor that he showed he could be a week ago. But a lot of it depends on how does Doug Peterson run the game. Does he run the game through Travis Etienne, or does he run it through his quarterback and really put the ball up in the air and try and attack the Chiefs with a bunch of dink and dunk passes to spread them out horizontally? A lot of it depends on how the early part of the game goes and if they can move the ball with whatever the number one option for the game plan is. And then we'll see how Trevor Lawrence does. But a lot of it is on him. He can't get caught up in trying to outcompete Pat Mahomes. He has to play his game, so he has to stay within himself.
No, I don't think he can try to be Mahomes. I don't think he can try to outdo that. But I do think, and I think Mike's probably thinking the same things. We've talked about it some. I think he needs the efficiency, but he needs at least one big play today. They really haven't had that out of him. There hasn't been that, a 75-yard touchdown or the super long play. They had one to Christian Kirk early against Washington, I think, and that was a 49-yarder, and it feels like that's the last time that happened. I think he has to be as efficient as he was against the Raiders. I don't think it has to be play after play after play. It's a big play, but somewhere along the line, they need something above the X's and O's out of him today.
Yeah, and you got to stay on schedule too, right, guys? I mean, you get third and long behind the chains in this environment today, especially if you're down in a game, then all of a sudden their pass rush gets going. The noise, Bucky, is as loud as you'll find in the NFL, and it could be a real problem, and it can avalanche quickly on you if you let it.
It absolutely can avalanche. Now, that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is dealing with the crowd noise, because it's going to be a party in here, particularly if they get it going early. Like, it's a place that is made for the defense to be able to get early jumps on the ball. It can be disruptive to your offensive flow because you can't have a normal snap count, and their pass rushers, namely Chris Jones and those guys, are going to be able to tee off if it gets a little loud. But the counter to that, it gets very, very quiet if you're able to go up and you're able to kind of control the clock and make it one of those things where you're playing keep away. So I believe the keep away strategy has to be employed. You want to make sure that you dominate time possession, which is what the Jaguars have done throughout the season, but dominate it, slow the game down, and try and get this game into the fourth quarter and win it in the fourth.
Yeah, to me, the whole key, I think the Jaguars are going to get chances. I think they'll get some extended drives, and I think they'll get one early. And, it's too simplistic to say, hey, they have to score in the red zone. Obviously they do. But to me, they'll have a drive, because they usually do in the first half, where they threaten. Probably in the first quarter, they've got to score touchdown on that early drive. I don't think they can be 14-3 in this game sometime in the second quarter and think they're going to win. But if it's tight after the first quarter, then I agree with Bucky. I think it'll be tight throughout the whole game. But I think the first quarter is key, and I think how they take advantage of their first chance at points like that, I think that'll set the tone for a young team on the road.
Guys, a lot of talk about how you defend Patrick Mahomes. To keep him in the pocket may be the preferable way to do it, because when the play breaks down, he can show you that he can run the ball, he can make plays on the run outside the pocket, and they get in that scramble drill, and they're exceptional at it at times. But how much do you want to make sure you don't take away the aggressiveness of the Jaguars' pass rush? If you have a chance to get Mahomes, you got to take that shot, don't you?
Oh, you got to take your shot, but what you have to do is you got to take it with just a four-man rush. The teams that have had the most success against the Kansas City Chiefs offense have been able to sit back in a soft zone and make them take their time and dink and dunk the ball down the field. when you bring pressure, when you blitz, bring 5 and 6 men, that is when Patrick Mahomes absolutely kills you. So this will be a change for the Jaguars because the Jaguars aren't a bend-but-don't-break defense. Can they sit back and play a soft umbrella zone and literally dare the Chiefs to either run the ball or dare number 15 to make a bunch of little short completions to move the ball down the field?
I think much the same as on offense. I think this is a game for the Jags about big moments. Mahomes, at times, if you get pressure on him, there'll be a ball that you can take advantage of and intercept. But I think they have to do that. They're not going to get that many of them. But on the moments that they have a chance, at the moments they have a chance for a sack, if Josh Allen is pounding his hands on the ground that he missed the sack and Mahomes is outside, I think that's trouble. I think if at some point there's a defensive back today who's hitting the ground and mad that he missed the interception, then I think they're in trouble. They have to take advantage of the opportunities they get, turn those into points. They'll be there, but just like on offense, they have to take advantage of the big moment. To me, this is a big moment game for the Jaguars.
Okay, you're saying they got to cash in on the lottery tickets. They got to cash in on the lot when he throws your Powerball ticket. You got to cash it in.
Just like I didn't have Mollywhack or whatever it was, but yes, that's the spirit of it.
Hey, I got a question, John, for the defensive coordinator, Bucky Brooks.
All right.
Bucky, how do you defend Travis Kelce, and does it change throughout the game? How does that work?
Well, in a perfect world, you'd like to beat him up on every play, meaning that you don't give him free access into his route. The hard part is he's basically a jumbo wide receiver. So he's not going to be in an inline position often. They're going to have him in space. And so you have to determine, how do you treat him? Do you treat him like a tight end, or do you treat him like another wide receiver? If you treat him like a wide receiver, man, who is going to line up on him? Who is the nickelback or the dimeback that has to deal with Travis Kelce? Whoever that is, whoever gets the duty, you have to put your hands on him, and you have to make him work for every completion. And then you have to know, in the red zone, he's target number 1. You cannot allow him to get busy in the red zone, because if he does, then the crowd goes crazy, he goes crazy, and then they kind of feed off of it. So you want to limit his touches, but you want to make him earn everything he gets, because he's going to catch the ball, but you just want to limit the yards after catch and make sure that you hit him every time he catches it.
Yeah, and again, I think it's about, as Bucky says, hitting those lottery tickets. They're going to get theirs, but there are going to be moments where you have a chance at Mahomes. I think pass rush is the whole key to this. Accept that Kelce's going to get moments, accept that maybe even some of the wideouts are going to get moments, but take advantage of your opportunities.
All right, guys, give us each an X-factor player. It could be offense, defense, special teams, a guy that you think could turn this game in the Jaguars' favor.
Biggest X-factor for the Jags traditionally has been Jamal Agnew in some capacity, whether that's a big kickoff return, which kind of juiced up the team last week, whether it's a gadget play that allows them to flip the field. J.O. was talking about we need an explosive play. He, to me, is kind of one of the only players on offense outside of Travis Etienne that can deliver that kind of play. And so I would look for them to try and get him the ball in space to see if he can produce one of those 25-yard-plus plays that can flip the field and put the Jaguars in position to score.
Well, I can't go Etienne because he's too obvious. So I'm going to go maybe Hasty. Maybe they designed something for that speed, and that's the big play out of a spot that you're not expecting it. So I'll go there. And then on defense, I got to go Smoot. I mean, he's been playing it. I'm not sure teams really key on him yet. Maybe he's the guy to get a couple sacks on Mahomes and turn this game around.
All right, guys, let's get a W today. Bucky, how many layers are you wearing today?
Right now, it's a little light because I'm not outside, but I'm ready. I'm fully geared up. I have like a strategy where I'm going to just add on layers each quarter so I don't peak too soon because I don't want to run out. I ran out of gas in Philadelphia, and I paid for it, and I vowed to never do that again.
You learned your lesson. I like that. Enjoy the game, guys. Thanks a lot. John Oehser, Bucky Brooks.
Thin khakis for me, JP.
Thanks,
Thin
John.
khakis.
Yeah, and nice heated press box for the senior rider. There you have it. Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViceStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. And, of course, the weekly Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks show Wednesdays at 4 o'clock on Jaguars.com and the Jaguars social channels, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We're inside 20 minutes from Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff coming up at noon Eastern. When we return, though, a fantasy forecast. And we'll go back to the broadcast booth with Frank Frangie, the Jaguars and the Chiefs coming up at 1 o'clock. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, Let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Basketball action is back at the University of North Florida. Come watch the Ospreys start their season at the newly upgraded UNF Arena. Be there for the men's basketball home opener, November 19th against SC State. Free t-shirts for the first 700 fans. It's also Military Appreciation Day. Military and immediate family members receive free admission. Go Ospreys, and thank you to all who serve. Visit UNFospreys.com for tickets and details.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
You've been putting back a few. And a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Final moments of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bank Field. The Jacksonville Jaguars 3-6. The Kansas City Chiefs 6-2. They'll kick it off at 1 o'clock at Arrowhead in week number 10. Let's get a week 10 fantasy forecast from Mike Dempsey.
All right, well, we'll start with an update on where things stand in Germany. The Bucs leading the Seahawks 21-3. If your opponent has a lot of Seahawks today, you're pretty happy about things. DK Metcalf's caught 6 for 71. Nobody else has really done anything of note statistically for the Seahawks today. Tom Brady has thrown a pair of touchdowns, 217 passing yards, one going to Chris Godwin moments ago, one earlier to Julio Jones. Leonard Fournette ran for a score, although he did not start this game. Rashad White did get the start, has 18 carries for 71 yards. Fournette, about an equal workload, 14 carries for him for 57 with the touchdown. He's also caught a pass out of the backfield today and thrown an interception on a halfback option pass that was supposed to go to Tom Brady. So 21-3 Bucs with 11 minutes remaining there. Looking at some of the inactives we've got our eyes on today, that includes, of course, Josh Allen. He is on the active list and expected to start for the Buffalo Bills. Might not be the case for some of the quarterbacks later on this afternoon. Let's get to those afternoon matchups. Indianapolis at Las Vegas today. Jonathan Taylor is back off the injury report and coming off that ankle injury, has a clean bill of health. You can expect him to get a lot of carries in that Sam Ehlinger-led passing game, which has done nothing this year. Matt Ryan actually moves back into the backup role. First time he'll have been active in a couple of weeks, with Jeff Saturday making his debut as the head coach there. Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow both go to injured reserve this week. For Vegas, Waller had been out for a while. Shouldn't make much of an impact in your fantasy league. Arizona at the L.A. Rams today. Kyler Murray, questionable to play with a hamstring injury. Colt McCoy would get the start there. Matt Stafford in the concussion protocol all week, and John Wolford would go for Stafford if he is unable to. Both teams trying to take that quarterback decision down as late as possible. Kyron Williams, the rookie for the Rams, expected to get his first run of the season. He's been hurt most of the year. That Rams running game, though, has been atrocious because they can't block for anybody, so I don't think it really matters. Dallas at Green Bay. Ezekiel Elliott for the Cowboys, questionable with a knee injury. That would clear the decks for Tony Pollard to have another outstanding afternoon. I think Pollard's a better play, even if Ezekiel Elliott is in the lineup today for Dallas. The Packers will be without rookie wide receiver Romeo Doubs for a while. He is out with a high ankle sprain suffered last week. The Chargers and San Francisco on Sunday Night Football, L.A., without both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So Josh Palmer in another good spot as the number one pass-catching option for Justin Herbert. Meanwhile, Deebo Samuel returns from an ankle injury that cost him a game for the 49ers. And like Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of a dark horse play this week. He's got Deebo, he's got Ayuk, he's got Kittle, and, of course, Christian McCaffrey. First time all those skill players are healthy around Garoppolo for the 49ers.
There you have it, a fantasy forecast for week number 10. Let's go back to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, GEHA Field. In the broadcast booth, Frank Frangie standing by, and it looks like at least a beautiful day for football. A little on the crisp side, but welcome to mid-November. What's up, Frank? Good morning.
Hey, JP and Mike, good morning to you guys. And you're right, it's a beautiful day. It's cool now. It's cool, but it is a beautiful day. Doesn't look like a whole lot of wind. Boy, oh boy, as clear and pretty as it could be. This is it's a fun place for that. You can see all the parking lots around. They tailgate like crazy. I know you guys know that. It is a festive football atmosphere every time these guys play a home game, and it looks even more so, JP, when it's bright and sunny out here. So it's really a beautiful day for football. Weather will be probably in the mid to high 30s, but not a cloud in the sky.
This Kansas City team, Frank, scores, they're number one in the league in scoring offense, second in total offense, number one in passing offense, second in the league on third down, second in the league in red zone. They're pretty good, right? I mean, they got the quarterback, they got the tight end, they've got an assortment of receivers they can throw out there. Hardman's not playing today, but this is about as dangerous of an offense as you'll face, but it starts with the quarterback triggering everything and keeping him somewhat contained today. That off-schedule thing can be a real problem.
Yeah, that's right. It's two or three things about him. Number one, he's a great player. He's going to get his. You know that. Kelce's going to get his. I think the most important thing for me to that end, JP, don't let them get easy ones. Number one, don't turn it over so they got a short field. Number two, you don't want 70-yard touchdowns. You don't want, and I think the Jags are evolving into more of a zone team. I think you could see that last week. I think you're going to see some of that. I think some zone with guys keeping everything in front of them. That's about the only way. He's going to get his. They're going to score some points. They're going to score some touchdowns. But you don't want cheap ones. If the Chiefs are going to score, I'd rather it be 11 plays, 85 yards, and it consumes 7 or 8 minutes because now the game's shortening a little bit. And if you're the Jaguars, obviously you want a shorter game. So, yeah, they're going to get theirs, but you hope it's not in big chunks.
Frank, I don't know if you'll have the answer to this, but everyone's got their opinion. What is the best way to defend Travis Kelce, and will the Jags try multiple versions of that?
Yeah, I heard Jeff say earlier with you guys, you got to do a little bit of everything, and I think those guys have a way better eye for that than I do, Mike. But I think, again, I don't want to see the big plays. I don't think you put Devin Lloyd on him necessarily. Devin's having a tough time right now. Devin's struggling. He would be a natural guy. I don't think there's a safety. Rayshawn Jenkins is going to come back. He's the closest they have to a real strong safety here. He's just coming back. I think he's going to play today, but he's coming back from concussion protocol. I think you zone him up, Mike. I think you keep everything in front of you. I don't think there's, like you said, I don't think there's one way to play him. You don't stick guy X on him. Keep him in front of you and hope he doesn't wear you out. He's going to catch some balls today now. I mean, there's no getting around that. He's one of the best tight ends of all time. He's already got 57 catches. He's going to catch a bunch of balls today. Hopefully they're not big ones.
Frank Frangie with us from Arrowhead in Kansas City. The Jaguars and the Chiefs coming up. Travis Etienne Jr.'s run continues, and over 100 yards again on the ground last week, and now a long streak of 100-plus scrimmage yards is still intact, and he just keeps it seems to be just keeps getting stronger and stronger as the weeks go along here. So we're halfway through essentially his rookie season, right? I mean, he didn't play last year.
Right.
So this stretch run, I think we'll find out a whole lot more about Travis Etienne Jr. and his stamina.
Boy, he is so good, JP. He is so fun to watch. He hits the hole, man. Jeff and Tony were talking about how quick he hits the hole. Man, he's a fun guy to watch. The biggest concern I have, and I worry about it, is a guy that watches this team every week like we all do. I think you got to be careful. I don't think he can keep running it 28 times. I think that was too many last week. He's got to play for a long time. He gets hit hard, JP, because he hits the hole so fast, and he hits even the coaches will tell you he gets hit hard. I don't think you see 28 carries very often anymore. I think you see 17 to 20 carries. They've got to decide, do they trust JaMychal Hasty to carry it 8 or 9 times? They thought about it. They practice it. It's in the game plan. But, JP, it's hard to put the other guy in when you're in crunch time. You know, when you're in a close game, you got to make yourself put the backup in some. And I think that's one of the things Doug's working on and Bernie's working on and in the game plan they work on. Can we make ourselves take him out even though he's running great, because we've got to save the wear and tear? I'm telling you, JP, that's what concerns me the most about Travis Etienne, because he's a wonderful player to watch.
Or give him the touches out in the flat in the passing game where he's getting hit by little guys and not the big guys in the middle, right?
And not being hit by 4 or 5 guys. That's exactly right. If there's the same amount of touches, but some of them are out in space, he's not going to get hit by 3 or 4 guys. Boom, the point of impact. I 100% agree with that. Give it to him different ways.
Yeah, if they're in this game, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets another big workload this week, because with the bye coming up next week, I agree with you, Frank. I don't think it's a long-term plan to give any running back that amount of touches on a weekly basis, but I wouldn't be surprised with 20-plus one more go-round.
Well, you're right. It's a big game. I mean, you got all hands on deck for this game, right? And you do have the week off. You're good point. The dialing back the carries doesn't necessarily start today. It just at some point has to start.
Frank, have a great call today here at Arrowhead, I should say, and we'll talk to you again after the bye week.
All right, fellas. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank Frangie joining us from Arrowhead Stadium. He's got the call today of the Jaguars and the Chiefs, and the Jags at 3-6 finally got that win last week. Kansas City at 6-2, the perennial playoff team in the AFC West, and the tour of the West wraps up today. By the way,
hasn't gone as well as we'd hope.
No, but it's not as a whole, the killer division we thought it was.
It's not bad. I mean, 2-1's pretty good, but the Denver game was certainly a winnable one. So
that one hurts.
You get this one. Nobody expected 3-1 versus the West. I'll say that.
That's for sure. We're back in a moment. Jaguars Radio Network coverage and countdown to kickoff. We'll hear from Jim Nantz. We'll hear from Fred Taylor, and the final word with Doug Peterson before kickoff. Thanks for listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.